We are in Alaska and we just wrapped up the ultimate adventure. Ryan and I shared a ton of knowledge that we're gonna dump on you on this video. Stay tuned. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad and this is my buddy Ryan. And we are here in Alaska. And dude, we just wrapped up 7 days of the Ultimate Adventure 2019. Such an amazing adventure. But what was really cool is you and I, we were coming down that beautiful trail and we just started, you know, we had a conversation. We're like, you know what, let's just throw the camera on and see what happens.
It was like a tech talk.
It really was a tech talk. We talked about tires, we talked about wheels, we talked about different vehicles.
Everybody's favorite hard questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions that we're gonna answer in this video. So we're gonna roll right into that. You're gonna watch that conversation as we were live on the trail. I think you guys are gonna enjoy this. Okay, so question for you. Automatic or manual?
Ooh, that's a really tough one because my whole life I grew up driving a stick.
Yeah.
And I really believe when you're off-roading you need redundancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you've got, you know, your extra waters, your extra fire extinguisher, your extra tow strap, your extra D-rings. When you have a manual transmission, you can push start your vehicle when the starter fails, battery's dead. Those are redundancies.
Yeah.
Those are real things. A 6-speed manual transmission with a good heavy flywheel, you can drive over just about everything. Low gears, you can make sure you can crawl it, you know, and it'll just do the job. But boy, the automatic 8-speed has been wonderful.
Yeah. So coming from kind of a classic car, hot rod, you know, Mustangs and all that, I think a manual. That's just I'm passionate about a manual.
Yeah.
To be able to just to have that tactile feel and you know, be one with the vehicle and control it that much, I love it. But for me, off-road, I like to focus more on where I want to put my tires and what the next obstacle is. And so I'm actually okay not driving a manual off-road. But I know that there's people that are passionate. I mean, the manual guys off-road just love their manuals off-road. I'm not passionate about an automatic off-road like that, but I think for me it's just more convenient.
And see, there's something that you're missing, and if you haven't spent any time driving a manual off-road, the thing you're going to run into is you're in a really, really steep climb. It gets scary, it starts to stand up, and your left foot just automatically pushes in the clutch and the car sits right back down.
Yeah.
And then you can roll back down a little bit and start over and pick another line. I've seen people fight with automatics where they're trying to find the shifter, they're messing with this, you know, stick over here, and next thing you know, they're rolled over.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
I could go either way. All right, so this is going to be a hard one, and I go either way.
Okay.
New school Jeep or old school Jeep?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, because you love the comfort and the technology of a new school Jeep.
You love that.
Well, okay, I do. But I mean, I'm kind of a classic car guy,
right,
in my soul. And so,
because think about everything you can do to a modern Jeep, you can really do to an old school Jeep.
You can make
wheels, tires, axles, engines, transmissions, horsepower.
Yeah.
And then throw nitrous at it.
I think doing a classic Jeep build is something that's on my bucket list.
Okay.
So I love my modern Jeeps, but I'm gonna say right now, if somebody gave me a blank check and said go buy a classic Jeep or go buy a modern Jeep, I'd go buy a classic.
Yeah, well, okay. That's pretty solid. So I'm gonna go backwards a little bit, and where I came from was driving a CJ5 short fender with a 283 in it and a 3-speed, and it would pull wheelies. But it did not have a heater, and you wore a set of overalls when you drove it. It didn't have a roof, and you drove in the rain, and it was miserable. But was it capable? Not really. Was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of looks. Yeah, absolutely, it was cool. Jumping forward 20 years to get to the next vehicle, I got into an XJ, and all of a sudden you had something with quadrillink front suspension and fuel injection, you know, 5-speed, you had overdrive, and you could put big tires on it. That was an amazing transformation. Jumping forward another 20 years, we start getting into modern conveniences that I'd never even thought about being built. Power windows? Come on now. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So if you cut me a blank check and said go get something, I'd have a hard time not getting a Gladiator.
Yeah. All right, so we're in the thick of some pretty good mud right now.
Yeah.
If you had your choice of terrain, whether it be mud, rocks, desert, what would it be? Where would you prefer to go play?
You know, we live in the desert, and I really enjoy sand wash. I mean, I want big, tall walls in the sides, and I want to be able to really haul them in until the sand washes up. For some reason, I love the sounds of the engines on the walls and just rumbling through these, canyons and things, tight corners. So that's fun for me. But that's where I live.
Yeah.
And so if you said, we're going on vacation tomorrow, I'd have a really hard time picking between Moab or Eastern Sierras, where you can get into the woods and beautiful 2-tire track trails, camping spots along the way, or Moab, red rock, vertical climbs. How do you pick, right?
Yeah.
So that's a tough one for me.
So my license plate on my JK says mud please. Most people don't know that's a joke. I hate mud. So mud would be my last pick.
Your last pick.
The last pick. I love the desert. People say, oh, there's nothing beautiful in the desert, but man, there is so much beauty in the desert. Moab is awesome, but I think this is what I love the most. Really some nice dirt with a couple little obstacles and rocks like the Eastern Sierras,
yeah.
Alaska. I think if somebody said, go take your choice of a wheeling trip, this is the kind of trail I'd want to be on right
You
now.
want to be in the woods minus mud.
That's it.
So
That's it.
I love it. Okay, so when I think of Brad from TrailRecon, I think Jeep guy. How many Jeeps have you owned at the one time, or the most?
That would be right now.
Really?
I have 5.
You have 5 Jeeps right now.
5 Jeeps in my driveway.
And they all run?
They all run.
Okay.
They all run great.
Yeah.
So I just bought the Gladiator, which I love that thing. I mean, it's like this, but not as capable, right? This thing's a beast, but it's got all the creature comforts. It's awesome to drive on the road because that long wheelbase is nice and smooth. I love the Gladiator. I've got my JK, which I know we've had some jokes about JKs along this trip. But I love my JK. But that's because it's just taken me so many cool places.
Sure.
I've just had so many awesome experiences.
Yeah, you got a
with it.
relationship built with the vehicle.
Yeah, it's a huge relationship. I can't ever picture getting rid of that thing. My wife has her 2-door JL, which it's on stock 33s and stock suspension. But that thing is so capable just as it is, and she doesn't want to do anything to it, but it doesn't matter. We go to Moab, we take it off road, and she's zipping around in that thing like it's cool. Then we've got the 99 XJ, which my twins and I built over while they were in high school, and now one of them drives it all the time, and it's a great little rig. XJ is just a good platform. Plus, it's cheap, right?
Yeah, right.
Build those things super cheap.
It's like, for a long time, it was just a cult vehicle, and then it's exploded into one of the most popular Jeeps.
Yeah, for sure. And then my oldest son has a 99 Grand Cherokee, which it's pretty stock. We haven't really kind of got into it yet, but we do plan on doing some stuff to it soon. But what's really funny is it's a Grand Cherokee, right? It looks tiny. It's so small. So those things are really capable. I think people take those for granted that it's Grand Cherokee, we don't want that, but really it's solid axle front and rear. So that thing's gonna be a super capable rig once we really start working on it.
Right? Right.
What about you? What's the most vehicles you've ever owned?
Oh, that's a hard one. Do motorcycles count?
No motorcycles.
Okay,
Gotta be 4 wheels.
4 wheels, okay. Quads count?
Sure.
Okay. I had 7 quads at one time, along with 7 Jeeps.
Jeez.
So it just happened by accident that my buddy was selling a Comanche pickup, and I grabbed it. And it was 2-wheel drive, 4-liter sport with 5-speed in, and we made it 4-wheel drive over the weekend. Started just thrashing it. Well, I instantly fell in love with the Comanche pickup.
I just got hit in the face by a stick. Did you see that? We are in the thick of it right now, guys. We're having this conversation, but we're in the thick of it.
This is real. So anyways, every Comanche pickup I saw for sale, and we're talking before Craigslist, was Auto Trader, or on the street with a sign on it, I was buying them up like crazy. Well, what do you need when you have Comanche pickups that don't run? You need XJs. So I was buying up all the XJs, and I was stealing motors and transmissions and swapping axles, getting 44s front and rear, and building some pretty cool vehicles.
Yeah.
Along with having the CJ5 and a Jeepster Commando. I think there was a CJ7 in there for a little while. So that was all of the Jeeps all at one time. And then of course you have to have a big Dodge truck to pull all these things around, and a car trailer. Got a little out of control.
Yeah. Now, how many vehicles do you have right now?
Right this second, and again, we're not counting motorcycles. So
No motorcycles.
I have the 72 K5. I've got a C10 pickup that we're going to build. There's a Tahoe, what else we got? There's, two Silverados. I got an 09 and a 14. So I think that's it for vehicles. For one guy, by the way, I'm not married.
Married guys can't have that many vehicles.
That's right. Says the guy with 5Gs. Okay, say they were talking on the radio and they had some really good questions earlier, and one of them was diesel or gas. And
okay, so I've had somebody ask me this question before, and I think diesel is a great option. I mean, you're going to get, your diesel engine is going to give you a ton of torque, you're going to get better gas mileage, but there have been times where I've gotten low on fuel, or people that I'm with have gotten low on fuel. And if I would have been the only one running diesel, I couldn't have helped them out, or they couldn't have helped me out.
Yeah, there's that. So now if we airdropped you into Australia, this would be a different answer, right?
Right.
Because
everybody's got diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I agree with you. I saw what Cooper could do with the 8-speed transmission and clicking off between 21 and 25 miles per gallon.
Right.
While we were doing everything we could to try to beat 16 is our top goal. And I think we're now down to 13 because today.
Right. I mean, look, this thing is, the gas mileage on this thing, the whole entire trip, been fine. And we haven't wanted for motor, I don't think, at all.
No. And again, I think the 8-speed is the big winner here, because you can take those small torque peak bands and the engine and transmission will manage that to hold it right on the horsepower balance. All-time classic question. Everybody's got a different answer to all-terrains or mud terrains.
Ooh, yeah. So I've kind of gone through the cycle of all-terrains and mud terrains. And I had all-terrains, BFG KO2s on my JK for a long time. I put a lot of miles on those things. Did a lot of great trails. And they performed really well, except for a few times.
Teamwork there.
Sorry, we're going over some obstacles here, guys. We just gotta. There we go. Jeez, it.
Did you just roll it out of the way?
Oh yeah, it's rolling with me.
Did you roll it out the left or the right?
No, we're gonna come right over the top of it, the back tire here.
There we go.
There it is.
That's what I was looking for.
There we go.
Nice work.
Nice work.
Okay, back to mud terrains.
40s are nice, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So we are on mud terrains right now. So look, so the KO2s were a great tire, but there were a few times where I just wanted a little more grip, a little more sticky compound. And so I went from the all-terrains back to the mud terrains, and I really noticed a significant difference. So it's tough, because an all-terrain for an overlander, I think, is a great option, because you're doing a lot of road miles. It's a quiet tire. You're gonna get. So apparently my GoPro stopped recording in the middle of my answer. So let me just say that I think all-terrains are a great option for a daily driver, or if you're going to be running easy to moderate trails. My preference for the type of wheeling that I do is a mud terrain. It just serves me better. Okay, now let's see what Ryan's preference is. All right, so what about you? Mud terrains or all terrains?
So this is a really good question, and I've gone both ways. And when I was building the K5, I said I'm going to buy some all-terrains, and I ordered 33 1050 BFG all-terrains, and they only make them once a year, and they were out of them. So I was going to have to wait an entire cycle before they were going to come back out on the market. So I said, all right, I'll do the KO2, and KO2 the right one?
KM2 is the mud tire.
Yeah, so KO2 is what I ordered, KM2 is what I got.
Gotcha.
So anyways, get the mud terrains, put them on the vehicle. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
That really makes the look of the vehicle.
Aggressive.
Get down the road. That's not too bad. It's kind of quiet. It's not what I was hoping for, but yeah, 6 months down the road, they are really noisy. But the good news is I can't hardly spin those tires on the street. I can't spin them in the dirt. Good rainy days. I've got good grip in the corners, and I'm pretty happy that since that vehicle's life is really dependent on going off-road, that was the good choice for that vehicle. So if I'm driving my daily driver, which is probably going to have a travel trailer behind it and some motorcycles in the bed, I want all-terrains. All-terrains for me seem to excel in the desert, and it really comes back to that magic balance of air pressure, the weight of your vehicle, the rating on your tire, and driving in the dirt.
glad to have a mud terrain today.
Yes, absolutely. On this trip, is there anything that you looked at and thought, oh, he's so going to get denied, there's no way he's getting up that?
So it wasn't getting up, it was getting through. So I think there's 2 times where I was like, kind of like holding my breath. One of them was that really deep water crossing when it came way up to the headlights. Like I was like,
We had a moment when the engine started to pull down. It was getting wet. Water was coming in. It was already to the center of the headlights.
Yep.
I mean, that's give you a measurement point, right?
Yep.
We're on 40, so that thing is 53 inches.
Yeah.
And I stepped on the gas and held it to the floor, and it woke back up, and opened the throttle body up, and it popped out of the water, and that was close.
Yeah. Had an uh-oh moment, or maybe a snorkel would have been good for this trip, right?
Yeah, and that was immediately like, we should have got a snorkel.
We should have got a snorkel.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah. So that was one, but I think the most amazing one was after the axle broke, and we had to go back the way we came across that mud. You're in 2-wheel drive. Dude, I was sitting in the passenger seat hauling, like I don't know how far that gas pedal was to the floor, but we hit those 4 bumps, and I was like, there's no way.
I never pedaled.
No way.
I never pedaled. I stuck it to the floor and I just let it shift, and it was eaten.
Yeah.
You know, and as long as we had forward momentum, and by the way, I couldn't see out the windshield at all.
Oh no, it was terrible. And the crazy thing is, everything in the Jeep was tied down. Stuff was still flying around, including me.
It was hovering. We looked like we were 0 gravity. Things just floated in the.
Yeah.
We should have had the GoPro that moment.
We should have had the GoPro, but we had the memory.
That's right.
Okay, so for you, when did you think there was going to be some, I don't know about this?
Oh, so I took a deep breath, and we had just basically rebuilt the vehicle in a 3-wheel configuration. And they announced at the driver's meeting, they said, all right, tomorrow is all uphill. And I went, oh man, because I thought we did so good in 2-wheel drive in the mud. We knew what was going to happen. But when they said it was all uphill and could be muddy, so I stopped by Trent, and I said, Trent, what's the deal? He goes, I was going to come and get you, and I was really kind of concerned that if anybody else was driving, I'd probably tell them to stay back.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, man, that really means something.
It's a nice compliment.
Yeah, right? And so when we started the trail, and it was slick, and we started going, we had places that were like 44 degrees angular up. It just kept trugging.
Yeah.
And we just kind of treated it like a dirt bike and powered through those sections. And after about the 3rd one, I was like, I think we got this today.
Yeah, working really good. You said the only challenge you were having was that the steering was pulling.
Right. And so you've got 2 wheels in the back driving, 1 on the right front driving, and the left one is coasting, and the car would try to drive around in a circle.
Car? It's Jeep.
Sort of.
No, I'm going to leave that in. Okay, so before I ask this question, I want to precursor what you have owned many Jeeps.
Right.
And you love Jeeps, just not a fan of JK's, but you love Jeeps. But I have busted your chops at least 24 times this trip. You keep calling the Jeep a car. What's the deal, man?
All right, I'm gonna back up and say, yeah, I've had 40 or 50 Jeeps. I've been to Moab every single season for 20 years. I've led runs multiple places all over the planet. And yeah, I am absolutely a Jeep enthusiast.
Yeah.
And if there was a tattoo, I would have the Kaiser logo on my shoulder right there. But yeah, being that I came from a race car industry, a lot of these rock crawler buggies have become cars to me, and it becomes second nature for me to call it a car. Only to say that, and that's when we're talking about real rock rigs and big giant vehicles, when you brought out the JK platform and it was a mashup between a Cherokee and a Wrangler so that they could get the best of both worlds out of it, that truly was a car. It had power windows, power door locks, tilt wheel, cruise control, all the stuff that a Jeep didn't have. And so for me, Jeep sort of stopped at the end of the LJ.
Okay.
Cars started, and I'll be honest with you, at the beginning of the JL platform, they became Jeeps again, and that new JT truck with the Gladiator platform is absolutely the most massive, awesome Jeep they've made so far.
All right. I'm still gonna bust your chops.
That's fine. So as you know, Brad, the Alaska build was a last minute thing. We threw together a vehicle out of stuff we had laying around the shop. We grabbed stuff, put it in the car. I'm a big fan of if you don't need it, don't bring it. what on this trip did we bring we don't need, and what is something you wished you had?
Okay, first of all, this is not a throw together vehicle. This is a dream vehicle for many people, including this guy who's driving it right now.
Have you seen my shop with all the stuff?
I know. So I think the one thing we already mentioned was a snorkel, right?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
would definitely have been nice to have. In fact, it's made me almost think that it's something I want to add to the
I don't
Gladiator.
think it's almost. I think it's already in your cart.
Yeah, it's probably going to be in my cart here soon. I think you got to have a snorkel if you're coming to Alaska. And I almost, for me, you know, I'm a big storage guy for the, you know, like kind of the overland kind of concept thing.
And you're organized.
Yeah, I'm organized. And there was a time, probably halfway through, I was like, man, fumbling through bags and whatever. And I think if we could go back and have the time to do it, it would be cool to figure out some kind of, you know, box system or storage system. You even mentioned like a Pelican case for the camera gear. That would have been so ideal because things have just been thrown
Even
around.
have it shelved where it's turned the other direction. You open the main door, open the Pelican door, and get cameras out.
Yeah, I mean it worked for us, but I think we could have done a better job of organizing.
We definitely made do.
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah. What do you think?
You know, that's a really good question, and I hadn't thought that through when I asked you because I was curious to what you wanted to bring with us. One thing I think we overestimated was the JL's ability for mileage.
Oh,
we knew there were 250 mile sections, and we knew we could get down to 10 miles to the gallon. We didn't know how much off-road and road riding that was in the same day. So we brought 2 5-gallon cans, and they're on the inside. I'm not a super fan of gas on the inside of the vehicle, but if you've got to do it, have it over the axle, and you got good metal cans and it's sealed, which we've had no problem with. That's the way we went. I think we could have left those cans at home.
Yeah, we definitely could have left those cans at home. I super surprised that we had not smelled fuel this entire time. I honestly think I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna smell some gas. But those cans back there are the way to go. They are perfect.
All right, keeping in mind that we did break a U-joint cross and not necessarily the actual shaft, would you go with Dana 44 or Dana 60 on this trip? Yeah,
so that's a great question because everybody says don't run 40s on a 40-40. You've got to have 60s to run 40s. And almost everybody on this trip is running 60s or higher, right? Except for a couple, I think. But I don't know. I mean, I think these axles, except for, you know, blowing that U-joint, have held up great. And so I would say, I think it works out awesome because if you add a 60, you're adding a lot more weight.
And ground clearance issues.
And ground clearance and our gas mileage. I don't know, I think this was a good setup. What do you think?
So you think if you had a clean sheet of paper again, you'd start right there back at the Core 44 application?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. I mean...
So I'm gonna take it another direction. I would have preferred to have maybe a Dana 60, maybe one of those new Dana setup axles for the JL platform, simply because I could have got a lot more wheel spin in some torrential places and not had the breakage. Their U-joints are massive. But circling back, we did make those gas gaps without having to dump the fuel, and that might have been a problem.
That's right. All right, so this Jeep has a pretty unique lift setup. Are you happy with how high we're sitting? Would you have liked to gone higher or lower?
Yeah. So generally speaking, we drive 90% on the pavement. These are our daily drivers, and then we got the 10% that, you know, weekend warrior-esque ride. I would say that the height for daily driving is perfect. It rides nice on the blacktop. I don't think we've any complaints. You know, obviously the lower you can keep your vehicle, the better the gas mileage you can get. And there's, you know, it's easier to get in and out, easier to load, easier to put your rooftop tent on. But in Alaska, there's some places where I would have liked to have been higher so that we didn't belly drag. I would have put 2 more inches in. 2 more inches lift, which would have brought us to what? Oh, that would have put us at a solid 4.5 inches of lift. This is only 2 inches of lift, so because we've trimmed the fenders out and we put 1.25 inch body lift, which we haven't talked about yet. Yeah. Okay, so I know it used to be a very common thing, but people don't really do it on JKs, and I think this is the first time I've seen it done on a JL. Right. Why the body lift? Well, this is an easy question. When we decided to put 40s on the vehicle, you go from a 37 to a 40, right? It's only 1.5 inches per direction on the tire, and that's 1.5 inches of reach. But what it does is it limits your up travel. So a lot of people go put a giant aluminum hockey puck on the axle to keep the tire from touching the fender. We went a different direction. We thought, well, if we just put 1.25 inch body lift in there, we'll go up, stretch the brake lines a little bit. That means the CAN bus, the brain, the water bottle, coolant bottle, everything just moves up a little bit and gets out of the wheel wells. We don't have to do a bunch of trimming on the vehicle to make it look crazy, and nobody ever noticed. So that was freebie wheel travel.
Now, from the average person that wanted to do this body lift, how easy is it to install?
We did it in under 4 hours.
Under 4 hours.
Yeah. Now we had a rack, and we just read the instructions right off a piece of paper. It was a handful of bolts and a handful of hockey pucks. The hardest part is probably for the average consumer is that their fenders would be installed. You'd have to, I think, uninstall some of the inner plastics to get to the hockey pucks.
Something you would recommend?
Yeah, I would do it. I'd do it again. Matter of fact, I probably would do it to all of them. So anytime you can gain more up travel, I'm absolutely for it.
Nice. Okay, we just came off the trail, aired up, and what an amazing trail, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome. We're heading somewhere we had no idea where we're going.
That's right.
This Jeep has put on some hard miles the last 7 days.
Absolutely.
What kind of maintenance you can do this thing when it gets back?
So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull both covers, we're going to dump both fluids. And now the front axle has a brand new proprietary axle locker that we've been working on. So we're actually going to take that locker completely apart and probably send the gears out and have them hardness tested and all kinds of stuff like that. Your standard ARB guy, I'm just going to basically dump the cover. I'm going to look inside the windows, make sure none of the spider gears are broke. I'm going to look around for any particulates. I'm going to put the cover back on, seal it back up, and we're going to just run it hard again. But the rest of the things, I'm going to definitely check the transmission fluid color. If it's got a little haze for water, I'm going to change it. Motor oil has got to come out anyways because we've been driving the last 200 miles and the thing's at 0 miles to change.
Right.
Air filter's been underwater 2 or 3 times. We'll get a new one of those.
Oh, and we've eaten so much dust this trip.
Yeah. And that's just fluids. The rest of it is I'm going to do a nut and bolt check. I'm going to take the front drive shaft out and I'm going to make sure that the yokes are good. I'm going to make sure we've got a lot of pressure on a lot of things. We actually hear a U-joint clicking in the right front, and that's why we were babying it all day today. Rear axles will come completely out to pull the locker, and we're going to look at the keeper to make sure the keeper hasn't backed out because there's a lot of side load on that. We're going to make sure that the bearings aren't watered out or anything like that. So we'll do a basic race prep on this vehicle before it goes out again.
Awesome. Well, it is held up great. Now, the most important question.
We've
had some good conversations already, but the most important question is, out of all the meals we've had, and mind you, normally when I go out on a trip like this, we eat some great chow, which is probably a little over the top. But this time, we had some interesting meals, starting with the Mountain House. What was your favorite meal of the trip?
First off, I want to meet this Marcos guy you've been talking about because I'm ready to eat his food.
Yeah.
Our food has not been awful. It's not been great, but there are some highlight moments, and my highlight moment was pizza. And we got pizza. We were walking around the grocery store. We could smell something cooking. We go into the liquor store side of the grocery store, and there's this guy handing off a pizza. We tried to steal it. He wouldn't let us have it. He said, but I'll make you one. And he knocked it out of the park. And so as Brad and I were eating pizza, we looked over and said, there's about a half a pizza here. Let's wrap this up for tomorrow's lunch. And it was good. It was good.
So did you like it fresh or did you like it off the manifold?
I think I could go either way, but fresh, it was delicious.
Yeah. I think that pizza was awesome, but my favorite meal of the trip was when we were out on the trail. We had just gone through that water crossing and we pulled off those cinnamon rolls off the manifold. Dude, the smell of those cinnamon rolls at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Dude, everybody was like, what is that? What is that?
I had the cinnamon roll and I had a spork and I was eating it like that. And as people would walk by, they would grab sections and walk off. And I'm like, hey.
Yeah. The cinnamon roll was tops, dude. So man, I got a lot of value out of all that conversation.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that talk. It was a great trail, just a great trip, man.
Super.
Thank you so much for letting me experience this with you, dude. This was a rad trip. If you guys are visiting TrailRecon for the first time, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the future upcoming trips. And you can head over to smittybuilt.com and check out a couple little other segments of the stuff we filmed about this Jeep. You definitely want to check those out. Thanks for watching.